morning, everyone. Today we have got a star-studded screen with us. We have Dr. Jyoti Gupta, the moderator, Professor Ram Gopal Rao, Director IIT Delhi, Professor Sundar Ramaswamy, uh, Vice Chancellor Kriya University. We have Professor M. Pant, Authority in AI, and former Pro Vice Chancellor of IGNIU. We have Professor YSR Murthy. He's the Vice Chancellor of RV University. Dr. Raj Singh, Vice Chancellor, deemed to be University, Jain University. Dr. Sandeep Marwa, Chancellor, Aft University. Dr. Bhim Raya Maitri, Director, IIMS Nagpur. Dr. Ray Titus, Alliance University, Bangalore. Dr. Ramesh Chaudhary, APJ Shimla University. He's the Vice Chancellor. Dr. Abhay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Pratap University. We have Chancellor, Shobhit University, Kumar Shekhar Vijendra. We have Dr. Sanjay Gupta, Vice Chancellor, World University of Design. We have Dr. Hari Krishna, Vice Chancellor, Digital University. I will request Dr. Jyoti Gupta, who is the moderator, to take over the things, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be moderating a session with all the luminaries who are present here. A very good morning to all the esteemed panelists for today. And without wasting our time, I would request Professor Pant to give the keynote address today, the emerging trends in the higher education, the disruption of COVID, and with the coming in of the new education policy, there is a lot that all of us are looking forward to. There is a lot of hope amongst the students who are in schools right now and who are also going to go to the higher education. So everybody is waiting to know what are the new emerging trends and what is in store for them. What do they do after the school education, and what are the options that are available in the higher education, and thereafter what are the options available to them so that they can make and create careers for themselves. Professor Pant.
So thank you, Dr. Jyoti, for the introductory remarks. You have assembled a group of luminaries from all kinds of places, IITs, IIMs, well-established universities, coming up universities, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a very good forum to really respond to the challenges rather than just being a passive observer and passive participant. So I want to quickly come to some very important aspects. The first statement I want to make is that post-COVID is going to be a very different scenario. It is not like what is called status quo ante, where you go back to original thing. You will not go back to original thing because the world has moved during this 1 year. And I want to draw attention to this fact, that the post-COVID world is not the same as the pre-COVID world. The key points that I'd like to draw attention to, because of course all of you are great leaders and I'm sure you'll have your various thoughts to say, but I want to share with some generic things. So there's a famous story of Albert Einstein that when he was a professor of physics at Institute of Advanced Study, Princeton, it was time for the final exams for his students. Now, as often happens in such institutes, the professor creates a question paper, gives this to his teaching assistant, and it is for the teaching assistant to then make copies of it, circulate it, hold the exam, and get the answer scripts back to the professor. I'm talking of something about 100 years ago. So no computers, no photocopying, no any of these things. And the teaching assistant is usually somebody who's a graduate student or something. In fact, you may be knowing many Indian students who become teaching assistants to get part of the money to pay for their studies. So this teaching assistant looked at the question paper and said, but professor, these are exactly the same questions you gave to the same students last year. How can you do that? And Einstein is supposed to have smiled and answered, yes, the questions are the same, but the answers have changed. And this is the situation in the post-COVID thing. The questions are still the same. What do we teach? How do we teach? Where do we teach? How do we assess? What will they do after they've learned? But the answers have completely changed in this 1 year. And that is what I want to draw attention to, the fact that this is the challenge. It is not going back to what there was before COVID. So when Einstein said this, the reason was that during that year, 1905, he had published 4 papers which had transformed quote unquote physics that he was teaching. One of them was on Brownian movement, one of them was special theory of relativity, one of them was general theory of relativity, and one of them was photoelectric effect. And that is why he said the questions are the same, but the answers have changed. What has changed for us? And I want to draw attention to a thing which sometimes we forget. There are 2 big revolutions which are happening at around the same time. In 2016, at the World Economic Forum in January, Klaus Schwab referred to the concept of the 4th industrial revolution. That's been around for 4 years. In 2018, Anthony Seldon wrote a book called The 4th Education Revolution. That has been 2 years. And we have had the pandemic, and now a new variant of that pandemic for 1 year. And this is what is very, very interesting and challenging. First, it is a global phenomenon. Second, we have to deal with this coherently and concurrently. And this is why it is a very important challenge for the higher education institutions, and they are the ones who can give the answers. This answer will not come from some set of people who have drafted a document or whatever. So this is the thing. Now I want to draw attention to, I'm saying there are 2 broad impacts of this. One, on what higher education institutes need to do. And that is something where, the challenges are that things are moving very fast. That more than pure disciplinary things, it is interdisciplinary and co-disciplinary and interdisciplinary things that are becoming very important. So quantum biology is becoming a big frontier. Protein engineering is becoming a big frontier. Genomics is becoming a big thing, which combines data, etc., and so on. So that is one part, which is, of course, I will say, a clear challenge to the academic leadership of various institutions. But I want to, in the next few minutes, focus more on the other aspect, the student per se. Because Dr. Jyoti Gupta began with what students are looking at. If you look at what change has happened for students, and I want to say this very bluntly, that it is important that they understand that the possibilities of the past will no longer be there. You will not get a placement in some TCS and then think that for 30 years I will be in the same company. Those days are gone. The key word today is the gig economy. And it is very important for the students to realize that they have to prepare themselves while at higher education for the gig economy. They should not worry so much because those things will be there, but that will not. The predominant thing will be the gig economy. The other important thing which students should realize, it is not the day of placement alone that matters, and they should not look at it as importantly as what will they do over a lifetime. Because the other thing that is happening nowadays, forget the pandemic, by and large, longevity has increased. And not only that, the working lifespan has increased. It is quite amusing for me to share that I was a faculty at IIT Kanpur a long time back. People who were senior to me then by about 10 to 15 years, they are now examples of people who have drawn pension for more years than they drew salary. Because typically to get into an IIT, you're supposed to have been abroad for some time, done a PhD, postdoc, etc., etc. So you join as a faculty at the age of about, let us say, 40. They joined at 40, they worked for 20 years, retired at 60, today they're 85, 86, going to 90, and they're still around, they've drawn pension, and they're still teaching. Because there's still very few people who can teach quantum mechanics if that is what is to be taught. And so I have there's not theory, real life examples of people who were in their early 90s or late 80s teaching quantum mechanics and having drawn in a private institution and having continued to draw pension for more years than they drew salary. Now, this is going to be the fact of the students who are graduating. They will not have one long career. So preparing for a gig economy, preparing for a number of careers requires a different set of dispositions. And this is where I'm saying Now, firstly, they have to become lifelong learners. They have to be lifelong learners and learn well, not just to pass exam. So they have to do mastery learning, because it's no longer a question of passing an exam. You have to survive. The work from home model is actually going to become a special case of working from anywhere. Whether it's an office or home, eventually we're going to work from anywhere. And every worker will have to become an independent professional, must become well-versed in most areas of business, finance, marketing, including personal branding, compliance, etc. And autonomous and lifelong learning is essential. Everyone has to become a sui generis. You have to become something that is unique. You become a go-to person for something, and you are valued for what you can do. I can elaborate this, but as they say, a word to the wise is enough. All of you are distinguished leaders, you get the point, and we can further develop this during the session or even after. And what is very important is that I'll finish by quoting from a movie which was recently much promoted, called AK versus AK. And there, one AK, that is Anurag Kashyap, makes a very important remark to the other AK, which is Anil Kapoor. And he says, you have become Mr. India. You are both invisible and irrelevant. Now, this is the film dialogue. But a very serious historian professor named Yuval Noah Harari, who became famous for his book called Sapiens and Homo Deus and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, has exactly the same phrase. He said the problem of the youth is about remaining relevant or being made irrelevant as the society evolves. So the purpose of higher education has to be that the people its graduates can remain relevant, not only for a few years, but for over a long period of time. So thank you. This is by way of this thing, introductory remarks, and I'm sure this session will be very wonderful. And not only this session, this will lead to a lot of collaborations and alliances in building this roadmap for the Youth for Future, so that we can expect to see that this third decade of the 21st century is actually a glorious thing for Indian youth. So back to you, Pranav.
Thank you, Professor Pant. It is, as usual, a delight hearing you always. And the stress on lifelong learning is very, very important today, because as they say, it is predicted that the children of today are going to change at least 7 careers in their lifetime. They will train themselves for one particular career, and by the time they have become comfortable in it, it would already be time for them to change that career.
Alliance University, India's top-ranked university. Over 20,000 alumni in 50 countries. Study abroad options in 55 universities. And placements in over 353 companies. Alliance University, Bengaluru.